I'm Catherine, 34. I'm sitting in my dimly lit apartment, the silence broken only by the ticking of the clock on the wall. Staring at the frozen image on my computer screen, my heart aches with a pain that's become all too familiar. It's the image from my half sister Lily's wedding live stream, a moment that shattered my world. There, among the guests, was my fiancé, Ryan, wearing a suit he claimed was at the dry cleaners. He was supposed to be in Houston for a business meeting. And around my Mother Vivian's neck was my great-grandmother's emerald brooch, a family heirloom that was always promised to me. To understand how I ended up here, watching my half-sister's wedding alone while everyone else in my family celebrated in person, I have to take you back in time. My parents divorced when I was 16. My father, Henry, was a cold and calculating man, a successful real estate mogul who always put business first. My mother, Grace, was a kind-hearted schoolteacher, gentle and loving, but financially struggling after the divorce. Just 6 months after the divorce, my father married Vivian, a woman 12 years younger than him. She was ambitious and materialistic, always eager to climb the social ladder. A year later, Lily was born, and from that moment on, I felt myself being pushed to the edges of my father's life. The photos of me in his office were replaced with pictures of Lily, Vivian, and him. When I visited their luxurious mansion on weekends, I was made to feel like an outsider in the guest room. Meanwhile, at my mother's small apartment, we struggled to make ends meet. My father's business thrived, and he built high-end resorts across the country, while my mother worked 2 jobs just to keep a roof over our heads. The pattern of my exclusions started small. When I was 18, they went on a family trip to the Maldives, saying I had too many exams to join. When I was 22, they celebrated Christmas in a private chalet in the Alps, claiming they couldn't get an extra ticket at such short notice. By the time I was 26, I only found out about family events after seeing the pictures on social media. Whenever I expressed my hurt, my father would dismiss me, saying I was being too sensitive. My mother passed away from a heart attack when I was 28. Her funeral was a cold and formal affair. My father gave a brief eulogy, more focused on their early days than on her as a mother. Vivian stood beside him, looking bored, while Lily, then 12, played on her phone throughout the service. After my mother's death, I threw myself into my career as a web designer. I built a small but growing freelance business, working from my apartment. It was a humble place, but it was mine, paid for with my own hard-earned money. I met Ryan 3 years ago at a networking event. He was charming, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in me. He worked at a tech startup developing financial apps. Within 6 months, we moved in together, and last year, he proposed with a simple but beautiful ring. Ryan knew about my family situation and always encouraged me to try and reconcile with my father. He even met my father and Vivian at a tense dinner after we got engaged. To my surprise, they hit it off well, and my father started asking detailed questions about Ryan's startup. They exchanged business cards, and I hoped it would bring our family closer. Over the past year, I noticed strange behavior from both Ryan and my family. Ryan had more business dinners and late-night meetings than seemed normal. My father would mention Ryan in passing during our phone calls, but quickly changed the subject when I asked for details. Vivian started sending me birthday cards, something she had never done before. I was so happy to see these positive signs in our family relationships that I ignored my instincts. Then, in March, I received a digital invitation to Lily's wedding in my email. I was shocked. Lily was only 18, still a child in my eyes. The invitation was elaborate, with animated fireworks and a custom soundtrack, announcing her wedding to Ethan, a wealthy heir, at my father's beachfront resort in June. When I called my father, he sounded nervous. I expressed my concern about Lily's young age, but he brushed it off, saying she was mature for her age and that Ethan's family had strong business connections. When I asked about my attendance, he said the venue had strict capacity limits and that they had arranged a live stream for those who couldn't make it. I was devastated. I later found out that distant relatives I had never met had received physical invitations, while I was left with the virtual experience. I told Ryan about the wedding and my exclusion. He said he had an important business meeting in Houston that weekend and couldn't accompany me. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I received detailed emails about the live stream with technical instructions and suggestions for creating an at-home party. Ryan was busy preparing for his trip, buying a new suit and saying his old one was too shabby for important meetings. A week before the wedding, I saw social media posts from relatives arriving at the resort for pre-wedding events. I felt a pang of jealousy, but tried to push it aside. The night before Ryan's supposed flight to Houston, I used his laptop to order food. A notification popped up from his email, and it was a hotel reservation at the same beachfront resort where the wedding was taking place. My hands shook as I closed the email. I convinced myself it was a mistake, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. The morning of the wedding, I decided to make the best of the situation. I put on a red evening dress I had saved for a special occasion, did my makeup carefully, and ordered a bouquet of roses. I sat in front of my laptop, connected it to the TV, and opened a bottle of champagne. The live stream started with stunning drone shots of the resort. The guests looked happy and glamorous, enjoying the beautiful scenery. As the camera panned across the crowd, I saw faces that made my blood run cold. My cousin who had told me she was too sick to attend, and my father's old friend who had said he was out of the country. And then there was Ryan, sitting comfortably with my family, looking completely at ease. I choked on my champagne as the live stream froze at that exact moment, capturing the betrayal in a single frame. I tried to call Ryan and my father, but both went straight to voicemail. I texted Lily, asking about Ryan, but she never replied. That night, after the initial shock, a cold anger took over me. I started investigating. I dug through Ryan's emails and found conversations between him and my father going back 2 years. It seemed that my father had hired Ryan to date me to keep an eye on me, worried that I might contest my great-grandmother's will. I also reached out to my great-grandmother's old lawyer, Mr. Thompson. He told me that the will we executed was not the original one. My great-grandmother had changed it in her final days when she was heavily medicated. In the original will, I was a major beneficiary, inheriting the beach house in Florida and a large sum of money. But in the revised will, most of the inheritance went to my father and Lily. Armed with this information, I hired a lawyer and a forensic accountant. I also reconnected with my mother's side of the family, who had been estranged from us because of my father's lies. They were eager to help me expose the truth. Just as I was preparing to take action, Ryan returned. He tried to explain that he had fallen in love with me for real, but he was trapped in the situation because my father threatened to pull the funding from his startup. As we were talking, my father called. I put the phone on speaker, and a heated argument ensued. My father tried to defend himself, but I presented him with all the evidence I had collected. He offered me a large sum of money to keep quiet, but I refused. I wanted the truth to come out, and I wanted what was rightfully mine. In the end, after a long and difficult battle, I got justice. My father's business suffered as the news of his financial improprieties spread. He was forced to return the brooch and pay me the inheritance that was due to me according to the original will. Lily and I had a heart-to-heart conversation, and I realized that she was also a victim in all of this. She was going to college soon, and I promised to be there for her. Ryan, having lost his startup and his financial backing, sent me a heartfelt apology. But I knew our relationship was over. I used a part of my inheritance to start a foundation to help single-parent families, in memory of my mother. Looking back, that frozen wedding live stream was a blessing in disguise. It forced me to see the truth and gave me the strength to stand up for myself. Family betrayal is the deepest kind of pain, but I've learned that sometimes the family we build for ourselves after the betrayal can be stronger than the one we were born into.